Hey everyone, and welcome to another installment of the ongoing series, How I... Today, I wanted to talk about how we overcome setbacks. And I asked Desiree before I turned the camera on here, hey, do you want to be in on this? Because you yourself have overcome quite a few setbacks. But there's a theme, and I think that for people who are watching this or into the spiritual community or who are learning, I think right away you realize that you're going to have to figure out how to overcome setbacks because they're going to come at you. Life throws them at you one way or the other. Your thoughts?
So I think that's true. I think life is full of challenges, and I think that, a setback, I think when you're facing a setback or a challenge, it's all about perspective. Because in the moment, it can feel difficult, it can feel devastating, it can feel overwhelming, and it can feel all the things, right?
Right.
And that's all important to acknowledge as well. Just as important is recognizing, okay, in this moment right now, whatever has happened, the setback is super inconvenient. It's upsetting me. It's making me rethink, reorganize, redo, whatever, This is what setbacks generally cause.
Right.
I think the important part is not letting the setback get you stuck in that moment of like, okay, well, I can't do it, so I'm going to give up.
I think setbacks in general invite us to give up and invite us to say, woe is me, it's too hard. I tried so hard and I'm just going to give up now because this setback is just too much. But another way to view it is like a detour on the pathway to where you want to go, or a different direction that you hadn't thought about to get to where you are going.
Yeah, so that's a really positive take on setbacks, is that they can actually direct you in a way better path than you actually imagined yourself. So sometimes a setback is a huge opportunity that you didn't know existed, right? So that's the most positive outcome of a setback, is actually something that transforms you or the situation or the challenge, and where you can take it and be like, oh, okay, well, this is super hard, but let me start to look for solutions. Or, okay, I can't do this on my own anymore. I'm going to ask for help. Maybe you were supposed to be asking for help the whole time.
Right.
And it just took that one, pushing you over the edge of being like, okay, fine, I'll surrender to this and I'll actually just ask for the help that's been offered or accept what's been offered. So who knows? Like, every situation is really unique. But yeah, even when you feel like you keep hitting walls or doors are closing you, like right in front of you, right as you get there, the door closes. In my experience of life, it's usually a redirect, and it's just something, sometimes it's even you being protected.
Right.
And
this is something people don't realize, is that sometimes what you perceive as a setback is actually your higher self or angels or energies around you actually protecting you in the moment. And you perceive it as a setback, but maybe from a different perspective or 10 years later with time, you look back and you realize, oh, wow, it's probably a better idea that that didn't happen, or that I was inconvenienced in that moment.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize too, though, like, whatever you're experiencing at the moment of the setback, I would stress that that's really valid, and you have to allow yourself to be authentic and real with your feelings. The thing is, what happens in the months after, for example, experiencing a life-changing, tragic loss. What are you doing with that? Because for me personally, I feel like there's a choice. There's a choice of staying in grief, and that kind of turns into depression and constant feeling of being heavy and burdened. And the other path, once you've processed those things, is a path of like, how can I grow from this experience, and what has it opened up for me? What have I learned? How has it changed me to be more authentic and aligned?
So I think what Desiree is saying there is there are ways that somebody who's an alchemist can transform these negative experiences into parts of their story and incorporate them for the greater good. We have so many examples that both Desiree and I are like a wealth of information when it comes to setbacks that we've had in life. And so both her and I are like seasoned pros or seasoned experts to deal with setbacks. Maybe if you're going through one, you can reach out if you need us to encourage you through one. For example, just off the top of my head, I don't want to get too in the weeds of all the setbacks we've had to go through in our life, because it would be like a 20-minute video or a 20-hour video,
Yeah,
I should
more
say.
like
The video would be too
a
long.
whole week maybe to discuss it all.
But, I mean, I think a lot of people lived through the pandemic, which would be one giant setback for a lot of people. But some small example of a setback that we've overcome or that you've overcome? What do you think?
I think a really good example of a setback we have overcome would be trying to get the children in school here.
Good
It took
example.
us like 6 months because we would fulfill all the criteria, get all the documents, get everything organized, hand it in, and they'd be like, oh, you need these other things. And then that didn't just happen, that there were more things that we needed. You know, that's okay, sure, but can't you give me a complete list? But then it was, no, these people have to issue this first before we can issue this for you.
Yeah.
And we go to the other people and they'd be like, no, we can't issue this without this from the people who sent you to us. And it's just kind of like, wow, I am really frustrated and like feel like I'm between a rock and a hard place because I keep getting sent back and forth between these people and nothing makes sense. And the thing with that is like we just kept trying. We kept doing whatever people required, you know, applying for documents people wanted from us.
Yeah, working towards what is the next step.
And eventually it worked out.
And you look back at it now after the kids have been in school for a while, and you look back at the story of how you got here and you're like, wow, we were handed some setbacks, but as usual, we overcame them and we jumped over the obstacles or jumped through the hoops, and the kids are in school now. So
I think actually a really great example is the ring.
yeah, that's another great example. So we're on 3 examples. I said we wouldn't get too in the weeds. If you can give them an example of a setback with the ring, then you go
So
ahead.
we had an engagement ring for like 7 years or something. I had picked out, Adam had, wished for me to choose out my dream engagement ring, which I did. But we also agreed, a lot of other things were a priority first.
For guys, that might sound a little weird, but she worked at a jewelry store. So what better person to pick out their own ring than somebody who manages a jewelry store?
It's
so
true.
Don't get it twisted.
He did it right. And so we had that ring for ages. It's been to like multiple countries with us. And then eventually it got stolen. So obviously I cried crocodile tears.
Huge setback.
And it was devastating because it was like dream ring. I had dreamed of wearing that ring for years and years and years. It was custom made for me. The diamond was chosen for me at the facility where it was created. And, yours truly here picked it out with me. And, it was his gift to me. And it was a big token of his love. He would meditate with it regularly. And it was really special to us. So when it got stolen, it was extremely upsetting. I went through a big why us moment. And why?
They also stole toilet paper, so it wasn't just the ring for stealing the ring.
No.
It was just stealing stuff from our place.
Whatever they could grab.
Yeah.
And honestly, after a while, I felt sorry for the people who stole everything because legit, they stole toilet paper. And I realized, okay, the symbol of our love and our devotion to each other is just that. And, it's not technically replaceable, but what can we do from here? So we started ring shopping. Nothing felt good.
And we learned a lot.
We did learn a lot.
Yeah.
We learned history. We learned politics.
History, yeah. And now, if
racial discrimination.
the end of the story is we have a great ring that she'll be happy to show you. And so, yes, we dealt with a setback, and yes, it was objectively frustrating, but we wound up with something better, as I told you before.
Bigger, shinier.
It's bigger, it's shinier. We feel great about it, and we love it, and it's a real diamond. We know it's a real diamond.
I admire it every day.
So what some people could have just given up about or seen it as a sign from the gods or whatever, we were just like, no, this is a minor inconvenience, this is a setback, and we're going to push through, and it's all part of the journey. And now, like, it's another example. So we've given you 3 examples of how...
So we came through on the other end with something even more beautiful, and it didn't change how much we love each other, right? Like I was saying, it was a token of our love for each other. So, you know, it was really upsetting to lose something that was so precious to us, but it's okay. You know, at the end of the day, we were safe. Our children were safe. We were all together and still just as in love. And the token of that was replaceable. And, you know, we're fortunate too. Not everything is replaceable like that. They also stole a hard drive with photos that, you know, are just gone. And they mean nothing to those people. But, like, photos of deceased loved ones, like, who steals that? I'm not sure. So clearly I'm still a little bit resentful about that. But, yeah, at the end of the day, you know, we were unharmed. And it was things that were taken.
Right.
Now, not every setback is that superficial, let's just call it.
Right.
But still, the message is really that when you're open to opportunity that comes from a setback, it will present itself. You will see new doors will open, maybe doors you never even knew existed. New people might come into your life. Right. That you didn't think were possible to find.
So that's how we have dealt with setbacks in our lives as far as relationships. On the end of the video, we can say, like, both Desiree and I have been married before. And so I, at one point in my life, in my 20s, could have looked at being divorced as a huge setback, and I did. But if it wasn't for all that detour, then I wouldn't be in this situation right now in Portugal with the love of my life, and we wouldn't have all these fun stories to tell you about the ring and traveling around and getting our kids in school and all that stuff. So even in relationships, you know, one door closes, it can seem like a setback, but a true shift in perspective to the alchemist and to somebody who wants to get to where they're going in their desired reality, everything can be seen as like detours to where you want to go, if you can stay on your path and not get too discouraged that you give up. And that's what I wanted to tell you today, and how we overcome setbacks. It's something that we're kind of experts at. But we're in our 40s, so, you know, you kind of mature as a person, and you learn that life hands setbacks to everybody, and it's depending on how you view them, whether you get bogged down in it or not.
Yeah, and I feel like since it's inevitable that you will face challenges, like, what's really important is, first of all, like, being really strong within yourself, but also having a good support network. And that makes hard situations a lot more easy to overcome, I find. When you have people to talk to about it, people who will really listen to you. And it doesn't mean that they'll give you money or resources or whatever, but just having people and a network of people that are inherently supportive of you, I feel like is a really positive thing to have in life in general, but especially when you're faced with setbacks, it can be really amazing to have people, even if they can just share their insights or some support in any way, you know, it can help you through the really, really hard moments. And help you remember, like, okay, you know what, all this went wrong, but all of this is right, you know?
Right. And as a man of and a father, sometimes just like my advice would be that if your kids or your fiance or partner have a bad day, it's like, it costs you nothing to try to make sure that what they perceive as a bad day can be turned around. Like, so order takeout, take them somewhere, go to the movies, and when they look back,
Change the energy.
change the energy, move the energy. So like, this is alchemy, like I'm saying. So when they look back on their bad day, they can be like, yeah, but in the end we did this. So sometimes you have to like force these type of wins and shift perspectives, because if it's relying on somebody who's stuck in the mud to change their poopy diapers, maybe they can't. So you have to be the one to help them out or change the poopy diapers yourself. That's how I deal with setbacks.
I need to go get the kids.
Thank you for watching our video. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.